So that may be one more closer encounter about environment.
And in general, it is getting better because most of the factories move to the middle part of China right now, and they are going to develop. The China government is going to develop Shenzhen as maybe a computer city or whatsoever, but just move the factory, high tech city. Just move the factory away, so we can see more blue sky. I mean, compare with the 2005, 2006. Right now.
I mean, in schools in Hong Kong, do people learn about climate change and the environment and stuff? I mean, Simon and I, didn't go to school in Hong Kong, but you guys did, didn't you? So
yes, generally in primary school they say talk about energy saving and something like that.
Energy saving,
and recycling,
oil usage and something like that. And we will finish our oil in 50 years. I think I think they do, but it's very general. It's not deep, not in depth enough.
I mean, at the actual protests themselves, for 1,000 people to be arrested, that's a pretty big protest, isn't it? And apparently, there are protests going on every day and so on. Organisations like, they seem to be quite organised. The different activist groups over there. There's obviously well-known ones like Greenpeace and stuff, and. That kind of sort of more radical action doesn't often happen in Hong Kong, but in some ways it needs, strong protest like that to stir up some debate and so on. In some ways it's a shame, there's not more of it in Hong Kong, I think. Because obviously Hong Kong potentially, in that issue to do with climate change, potentially Hong Kong could play quite an important role in terms of trying to encourage China to think more and do more about the issue. Would you guys agree with that? Anyone?
Well, I think like as Hong Kong, it's more developed city comparing to other cities in China. I think we actually have the potential to be the first eco-friendly city idea being started in the Chinese region. But then when we talk about environment and eco-friendly, we always forget about the people who are taking in charge and who actually holds the money that can actually spend on this kind of investment. It's not cheap to be eco-friendly right now. It's like you basically have to redo everything you have done and then change all the things that you're doing. So it really depends on if there is any people who's willing to spend a little money on this kind of projects. In Japan, for example, the government have plans for each city to do the recycling and all those kind of things, and it actually creates an industry for people to work in those kind of environmental friendly projects. But in Hong Kong, people are just people who are working as a recycling company or those kind of things. They are all private. They don't really get support from the government, or government is not trying to assist their existence. So under such situation or under such policies, I don't think it's quite easy for Hong Kong people to start such eco-friendly business or anything like that.
I think somehow in China it's much more environmental friendly than us. For example, if a bottle of beer, the glass bottle in Hong Kong, there's no recycle because the beer company, they are not willing to pay costs to get back the glass. So every bottle you drink in the pub is being thrown away. But in China or anywhere else, people will collect the bottle. Like when we were young, the Coca-Cola company will collect the bottle. Right? But now Hong Kong is getting worse. To make a glass bottle, is quite expensive in a way compared to a can, but it's been flown away to the rubbish bin.
But at least you do have the one successful policy in Hong Kong, which is the plastic bag tax, which has been working not that long ago, but I mean people are getting quite used to it now.
That's true.
And this is the only thing I call it one country, one system. You do have China doing have the plastic bag tax. In Hong Kong, you do have the plastic bag tax as well.
But you know, for example, like how much energy we have to spend to burn a glass bottle, and it's been flown away with all the rubbish.
But the thing is, in Hong Kong, it's quite hard to get people really passionate or energetic about getting into to protect the environment in this eco-friendly ways. But in the meantime, unlike the Western countries, in Hong Kong, you do hear less opinions saying that global warming is a hoax, it's a conspiracy. You do hear some of these arguments in the States or overseas, but Hong Kong perhaps is not really a debate, so you don't hear that sort of argument. So there might be some...
Maybe one or two extreme right-wing also saying that on myradio.
Perhaps that's true. I forgot about that too.
He's the one speaking the most bullshit on this radio station, I tell you.
But in terms of the mindset of Hong Kongers, most people would say, we want to, we like the idea of doing more for climate change. But when you actually put it to them, okay, are you willing to actually put some of your money either in taxation and so on, or if it's a businessman, okay, are you willing to put money into terms of recycling schemes and so on? Then you get a really strong reaction against it, you see, and it's that is in some ways the biggest problem with in terms of changing a culture to do with global warming and stuff. But to give you an idea of in Britain, to do with, in terms of each individual household now has recycling separate bins. So you actually have a particular bin given to you by the local council, different colours, and a different bin for different things. And if you don't do it, then you get fined. You actually get in trouble. You'll start getting nasty letters through the door from the council saying, the first time you do it, you get a nasty letter saying you did this, don't ever do it again, otherwise we're going to fine you. And you're not talking about a small fine, you're talking about hundreds of pounds, a hefty fine, and you'll be taken to court actually. And so they're really backing it up with legislation, and it's an amazing mindset actually, that it's transformed the whole country. Everyone abides by it, everyone does it. So potentially in Hong Kong, potentially people do, if the government decides something, they put laws in, then it changes behaviour and everyone does it. And it happened with the plastic bag thing, didn't it? And so potentially it could happen with separating bottles and tin cans, but they've got to have the infrastructure there